and a way out and finally be able to defend your dissertation? Well, look, you are not alone. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk about two powerful secrets that often no one talks about when we're thinking about how to transform yourself from ABD to PhD. So join us on this episode as we're going to talk about the two writing secrets to finishing your dissertation that no one talks about. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of From ABD to PhD show. I'm your host, Dr. Ramon Goings, founder of Done Dissertation, where we demystify the dissertation process so that you, the doctoral student, can write and defend your dissertation in 1 year or less. Today's episode is sponsored by the Done Dissertation Velocity Group Coaching Program. It is a coaching experience with the goal to help you write and defend your dissertation within 1 year. So if you're looking to get help, you've been on this treadmill trying to get off of it and tired of being ABD, and you finally have said, look, I am ready to be done, we definitely want to work with you. And I would encourage you to visit www.velocitydissertation.com, or you can scan a QR code that is here on the screen to learn more about our program and to apply. And if you're watching this live, go ahead and drop in the comments the website for me, and I'll be sure to thank you when I get off of here. Again, I want to appreciate you all for tuning in. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, hit the retweet. Go ahead and share it out. Make sure you share it with your colleagues because, again, we want to get people the insights that will get them one step closer to finishing their dissertation. And so in today's episode, the reason why I wanted to talk about these two particular secrets is that what I often see is that doctoral students come to us when they're looking for help and we ask them what's going on. A lot of times they're making it about the writing process or the chair and committee, which are key components of this thing, right? But there are actually two secrets that I want to share with you that are actually slowing you down, and you may not be thinking about them because oftentimes we put these things into the back burner. And so the first one, in terms of the first secret that will allow you to finish writing your dissertation that no one talks about, is this idea of what I'm calling and what we talked about as mental headspace. So for many of you all, as you're going through the dissertation process, one of the reasons why it's hard to sit down and do the writing is because that blocking your writing is actually a result in the block in your thinking. And what ends up happening is that a lot of y'all will come to talk to us and say, you know what, Dr. Goins, I'm having these issues around my writing. The professor says that, I'm a struggling writer. And then sometimes we read your work and we're like, you're not struggling with the writing. Maybe it's the ideas connecting and, we can help flush that out. But the actual you as a writer are actually a pretty strong writer. So what is it more? And when we've kind of peeled back the layers on our clients who've been most successful, the ones who have finished faster have been able to get a quick grasp on the mental headspace, and they recognize that they need that mental capacity in order to do the writing to get through the dissertation. And what ends up happening, right? I know for you might be thinking, and when you go to sit down to write, you might be having those thoughts of self-doubt, that somehow you got to this point in your process by accident. Look, it's not uncommon. I hear it all the time, like almost like, oh my God, I don't know how I got here. And now that I'm here, it's scary. And because I'm scared and I have all these thoughts about people critiquing my work, it prevents me from doing the writing process, right? But that's all up here. It's not necessarily the act of doing the writing, it's the act of the thinking. And, for some of you all might also fall into camp. You might fall in this camp of that you can't understand how you got through coursework so easy, right? It was a breeze. Coursework was a breeze. But now you somehow got into this dissertation and you just feel like you can't put sentences together. Look, we know this happens. We hear it all the time for our clients and folks who decide to work with us, even those who don't. And what we've come to learn is that the process of getting your dissertation done is one of a mental process more so than the act of doing the writing, the kind of physical component of it. And what we've talked about and what we found from our clients is that there has to be a shift. And for those who finish, we see this shift in our clients. They have this new sense. It's a whole new aura, like a whole new swag with them when they really made that shift. Like, look, I am getting this thing done no matter what. And some folks say that, but their actions don't follow it. And what ends up happening and how we know when folks have made this shift and when that mental space you have it to finish is that you say that you want to finish, but then when you experience that first sense of challenge in your process after you've made that decision, when you have recognized that you will get through any challenge that comes in your way, no matter what, that is the shift that happens for many of our clients. But for, some of you all haven't been able to make that shift yet. And what will end up happening is that when you don't make that shift, you will still be waiting on your chair to give you information on what to write next. You might be, waiting for them to tell you what to do versus coming to them with a plan. When you are making that shift and you have that mental capacity, you recognize that, look, I have to take ownership of this process. And the faster you take the ownership, the faster you finish. And so for many of you all, what will end up happening is that you're going to recognize and start coming to your chair with an agenda. You're going to start dictating the three key components maybe of that meeting with your chair that you want to cover for that meeting. And you will start asking for examples. When they give you something or they make a comment, we had this happen for a couple clients. One person wanted our client to write and develop this matrix for their literature review, right? And that's something we teach our clients how to do in our program, but the professor said they wanted something very different. And when the student asked them for an example, they couldn't give it to them. So it's like, why are we putting the student through that hurdle, right? And so as you all start to ask more questions, whenever you don't understand something, ask the question because you can get clarity. And then when you still don't understand, ask for examples because those things will help clear up the learning for you. And it will give you the space to not sit down and write and be thinking, well, what does my professor really want? Whereas if you ask the questions, you will know exactly what they want. And this is a shift. When we see our clients make it, again, they come to us it's just a whole new aura. They would just walk in, I might ask them, well, how are things going? Oh, my chair didn't like what I wrote, but I got an idea of how I can address it. And here's what I'm going to do. And here's my 3 questions I have for them in our next meeting. Once y'all start making that turn, this process starts to become very easy for you. And it's amazing to watch the shift. I've literally had 3 clients in about the last 2 weeks who have made this turn. And once we see it, when we have our meetings, it's like, oh yeah, they're good to go. And it's really that idea and this mantra that I'm going to get this done and nothing will stop me. And whenever I hit a barrier, I will do whatever it takes to navigate that barrier, ask questions for clarification, and then reproduce something that addresses the concern the faculty member has raised. When you start thinking about that and thinking like that, this process, you will make a transformation and you will start to recognize that, oh, I'm actually flowing through this thing. My chair is approving things. It's just this maturation that happens and I would say it's around confidence. There's a lot of it. And I see our clients doing it. It's amazing when they do. But if you're, possibly, feel like you want to get this done, but just not at the point where you've been able to fully make that mental headspace shift and give yourself the mental space that you need to finish, I want you to start taking inventory of what are the barriers to your thinking. So is it that you have too many responsibilities at work? Is it childcare? Is it taking care of everyone and not taking care of yourself? Like, think about what those things are that are unique to your situation. Take inventory of them, like literally write them out. And then what I want you to do is that recognize that in order to get that space mentally back to finish your dissertation, you're going to have to create a structure for this process that prioritizes the dissertation. No more can you have the thought process that, oh, I will get to this tomorrow or I will get to this later tonight, knowing that when you get home, you're so tired from doing all the things at work, making sure the kids are good, making sure the family's good, that you have no capacity at 9, 10 o'clock to do anything writing related because you got to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning to start this whole maze and whole process over again. So you have to create this structure around getting through the process. And if you're someone who knows that you need a structure and haven't been able to figure it out, this is when working with a program like ours comes in handy because we can help you develop that structure, help you think through it, and then help guide you when you experience those challenges that in the past would have prevented you from finishing. But now you recognize that, look, I can do whatever I need to do because I have a roadmap in place to get through the process. So if that's you, I would welcome you to apply for the Velocity Group Coaching Program. It's a coaching experience designed to help you demystify the process so that you can sit and write your dissertation in 1 year or less from start to finish. And look, we're trying to get folks out of these programs because I know you all have meaningful research you're trying to do. You all trying to get to the bag with the consulting, with the new job opportunities. We want you to get there and want you to get there quickly. So if you're someone who's finally made a decision that you're willing to do whatever it takes to get done, make sure that you scan the QR code here on the screen or visit www.velocitydissertation.com to apply to work with us. And if you're just tuning in, go ahead and drop who you are and where you're coming from. I love to connect with folks. Let us know what university you're at. And if you're currently writing your dissertation, let us know where you are in your process right now, because we just love to build connections with one another as we go through this journey. And so the second secret, right? Today's episode, we've been talking about the 2 writing secrets to finishing your dissertation that no one talks about. So first is that you actually have to have the mental headspace to finish, right? And you must wonder, why does that talk about writing? The mental part is so much more important than the actual action of writing. So you got to have that part down first. But then the second secret that will allow you to finish your dissertation that no one often talks about. And when they do talk about it, if they do, it's very surface level. But the idea that you have to have some type of accountability and community to get through this process. Because the reason why some of you may feel that you got through your coursework quickly was because you had one, instruction from your professor, but then two, you had classmates in the community. That community allowed you to give you that structure to get through your coursework. And also you had a time and place where you need to be each week for class. So that whole idea of time, community, and instruction was really important to you finishing. But when you get to the dissertation process, it starts to feel like you're on an island trying to figure things out on yourself, right? And it can be difficult. Not every student works well in that type of environment. If you're someone like that, I certainly understand. You need a community. But what we found from our clients who finished the quickest is that accountability and community are more important than they usually have thought, because it's hard to reach a goal that very few have reached without someone along the side with you. This is why accountability works. But not just accountability, just say, hey, how you doing? Check in. But then also you need the accountability of someone who can dig deep into the issues that might be unique to your situation. So something around like, how do you navigate dissertation committee politics that you might be experiencing? Or how do you respond to this particular feedback that you got from a faculty member and you're not quite sure where to go with it? These are things where having a specialized community really comes in handy. How our clients in the Velocity coaching program really benefit, because not only are they able to have us in terms of our coaches, but then they're also able to have a community of scholars who can get them access to resources and other things. I'm just thinking about in our recent coaching call, we had two clients at the same university, and one was having an issue navigating IRB application in some forms, where the other student was able to get them that information that they needed to navigate their university IRB. They weren't in the same program, but they just happened to go to the same university. So those things matter, and having that community is really important to finishing. And that's why a lot of our clients finish faster. And I think this is part of the reason why, as a program, we went from one-on-one, which we used to do years ago, to a group model, because we recognized that in the group model, they finished faster than one-on-one because of having access to the coaches, the instruction component, but the community was really important to finishing. It's something special, and there's magic around having like-minded individuals who are on a goal to do the same thing you're doing. And I think what ends up happening, which is even more special in our group format, is that if a student asks a question, let's say for instance about their IRB process, but you are at maybe starting to write chapter 3, or maybe you're still at the beginning of your dissertation, you now have insights about something that's further along in the process than you currently could have right now. And so that's why when you work one-on-one, the downside of one-on-one is that when you work at one-on-one, they're just solving your issue at that moment in time, but you don't get to hear from other folks who might be, a little bit further along than you, or, towards the end, about the challenges and opportunities they've had going through this process. And so this is where our program and Velocity is so key, because a lot of folks are able to just connect with one another and build, and then also have people, slightly ahead of them, slightly behind them, and it's just a community of scholars. And, just imagine what it would do for you right now if you had someone to ask a question about something that's 2 steps ahead for you, that they could clear up, so that when you got to that step, you had no issue about what to do and you were able to directly execute. That saves you time, that saves you headache, that saves you money and tuition, because you're going to finish faster. All of these things are really important to finishing. But oftentimes we don't want to talk about or think about the accountability and community aspect, because it's important. And then also the instruction component is built into our program, right? So we have a curriculum that walks you step by step through the process, so that you don't have to think through what to write for each chapter. You have a way and a structure to think through it already, and then that you can build on through our office hour sessions when we're actually working with you all in our program to talk through questions that you might have. And so I know for some of you at this point, you might be thinking, well, I need more guidance and support to implement these 2 secrets around getting my mental headspace back, and the writing accountability and community aspect, right, in order to do it effectively. And we completely understand that, the dissertation. That's why we created the Velocity program, to give you the strategies to get back that mental health headspace and build a community of like-minded scholars. So if that's something that applies to your situation and you're looking for more support, I would welcome you to apply to the Velocity coaching program. You can go to www.velocitydissertation.com to learn more about the program and to apply. Because look, all that's holding you back is literally making that mental shift and having that community. We see it over and over again of our clients who make that shift. And once they do, it's off to the races and they are able to finish quickly. We just had someone defend their proposal 2 weeks ago at the time of this recording. and they were able to come in and talk about their proposal defense experience. And now other students who are at writing chapter 3 are able to glean insights about how they too can prepare for their proposal defense by hearing what that one student in our program was saying. These are the benefits of having this model like what we had, and we've developed a really dope community of scholars. And so you definitely want to be involved with what we got going on at Done Dissertation. So if you're interested in learning more, you can scan the QR code, or you can visit www.velocitydissertation.com to learn more and to apply to work with us. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will loop back around and answer your questions that you all might have. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. If you're watching this live episode on LinkedIn, go ahead and hit that share button and type a comment about something that resonated with you from today's episode. Share it with your community. You can do the same on Facebook as well. And if you have any questions, other things, drop in the comments or shoot me a DM. I'd love to hear from you all. Again, we want to help support you all get through the process. So let's do this together. Let's build that community. And again, I want to say thank you so much. I'm Dr. Ramon Goings, host of From ABD to PhD, and founder of Done Dissertation, where we demystify the dissertation process so that you, the doctoral student, can write and defend your dissertation in 1 year or less. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Until next week's episode, take care, have a great week, and happy writing. And I wish you a Done Dissertation.